Welcome, I'm Marissa, and this is Blatantly Bookish. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Jane Austen's Lady Susan and the movie Love and Friendship. Lady Susan is a novella that Jane Austen didn't publish in her lifetime, and it's one of her lesser known works, although it's rapidly gaining popularity because of the film released this year called Love and Friendship, which is an adaptation of Lady Susan. I had a lot of fun reading the book and then watching the movie the next day. And I feel like that's always a really risky thing with adaptations because you have the book so fresh in your mind that it's easy to be disappointed. But in this case, it panned out all right. So more on that later. Lady Susan is recently widowed, and she doesn't have a lot of money and is therefore sort of mooching off of relatives and acquaintances. She hopes to secure wealthy husbands for her daughter and herself, all the while maintaining a relationship with an already married man. So she's just an awful person. She's snarky and conniving and manipulative, and she's a charming flirt. Frankly, she's quite Machiavellian. And you'd think I'd hate reading about her because that just does not sound like a good person, but it's quite the opposite. She's an absolute delight to read about. So, right off the bat, Lady Susan is not the typical Austen heroine. I mean, I already stated her intentions of finding the wealthiest husband while still engaging in an extramarital affair. And those aren't the actions of a typical Austen heroine, so you see what I'm getting at. Here, I just have to read you something to explain what I mean. So, this is Lady Susan talking about her sister-in-law, Mrs. Catherine Vernon. She does not like me, to be sure, when we consider that I did take some pains to prevent my brother-in-law's marrying her. This want of cordiality is not very surprising, and yet it shows an illiberal and vindictive spirit to resent a project which influenced me 6 years ago, and which never succeeded at last. She's just so wonderful and snarky and ironic. I can't. I loved all of the letters by either Lady Susan or Mrs. Johnson, which is her friend whom she confides in all of her schemes. However, the book as a whole is not as rich a novel as Austen's other works. It's not as polished or well-crafted. There isn't as much to gather or analyze from it, and all the characters besides Lady Susan seemed underdeveloped and fairly flat, especially her daughter Frederica. I would have liked to hear more from her point of view. But I think the entire book is carried by the impeccable character portrayal of Lady Susan and the wonderful subtle humor and sassiness of Austen's writing style. Another aspect of the novella that I found interesting was the ending. No plot spoilers, promise. I'm just going to talk about its pace and narrative structure. The ending seemed rather abrupt, and it's marked by a drastic shift from epistolary form to a third-person narrator. This to me is fascinating because we don't really get to hear Lady Susan's point of view on all of the drama that unfolds so rapidly at the end of the novella. And who is this narrator? Who are they sympathetic with? Other characters? Lady Susan? Why does the novella end so suddenly and resolutely without the main character's perspective? Perhaps it was deliberate and a way of punishing Lady Susan for her moral faults. Perhaps it's trying to emphasize how the reader has been so enthralled by Lady Susan's charms. Or perhaps Austen just got sick of writing and wanted to wrap up the story quickly and seamlessly. She never tried to publish it after all. And it's this ending that director Whit Stillman takes the most liberties with in his adaptation of Lady Susan, entitled Love and Friendship. So the first thing I have to address about the movie is the obvious change of title. Love and Friendship is a different work than Lady Susan, and this movie has nothing to do with Austen's juvenilia entitled Love and Friendship. I think the title works well for the movie, but it still irks me that it's a different Austen work. The choice of title is ironic, as there is little love or friendship in Lady Susan. I suppose there is Mrs. Johnson and Lady Susan's friendship, but you get what I mean. Titling the movie Love and Friendship does encapsulate the type of sarcastic, snarky attitude in Austen's writing style. So I like to view it as a directing choice. And who knows, maybe Love and Friendship appeals to the general population more than the title Lady Susan. I don't know, I'm not a marketing expert. Anyway, I think that the movie adaptation was one of my favorite Austen adaptations. It was so well done on many levels. Kate Beckinsale was a fantastic Lady Susan, and the plot stayed relatively true to the book with some minor embellishments. Stillman took liberties in further developing some of the other characters, particularly Sir James. I didn't mind those since they were so flat in the novel. I enjoyed their further characterization, and I didn't think it affected the tone of Austen's original work. I was initially a little worried about how the epistolary form would translate onto the screen, but I thought that that was handled beautifully too. There were scenes where people delivered letters to each other, as well as actual text on the screen, and that text was practically direct quotes from the novella. The main difference between the book and the novel was the ending. The actual events remained the same, but the ending was overall more in Lady Susan's favor in the movie, and I view it as a fascinating interpretation of the novella's ending. Of course, there are many other ways the book's ending could be interpreted. I'm going to stop there, but I just wanted to leave you with one fantastic Lady Susan quote. "There is exquisite pleasure in subduing an insolent spirit, in making a person predetermined to dislike acknowledge one's superiority." She's just so, I don't know, she's like an evil queen or something. She's just so wonderful. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. And if you read the book or watched the movie, I'd love to know what you thought of anything and everything, characters, endings, writing style, whatever you'd like in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Bye!